I'm Sue Brooks on behalf of District 38. I'd like to welcome you to this Speechcraft educational segment. As a reminder, there is proprietary information that our speaker will be sharing, and that is copyrighted and belongs to her. And will let you know when it is appropriate to take screen snaps, and I, as the Zoom master, will be sharing various handouts during the course of the presentation at select intervals that Anne has agreed that you may have for distribution to help you and your clubs. During the course of the presentation, there will be 3 question and answer sessions. So please make your questions available either by raising your actual hand, your virtual hand, or by placing the question in the chat, which I will be monitoring. Please make sure your questions are pertinent to the section of the material that Anne recently shared. If you have questions about something else, please hold them, because your question may be answered in a subsequent part of the presentation. Also, there will be, during this 90-minute time frame, one short break, and Anne will let you know when that will take place. So, ladies and gentlemen, what is the best way to build our membership? What's involved in running a Speechcraft series? What's in it for you and your club? These questions and more will be answered in this session. In this segment, you will understand the fundamentals of Speechcraft and its purpose, master the 11 steps to running a successful Speechcraft series, discover the benefits of serving as a Speechcraft coordinator, and learn how to plan, organize, and manage each session. And who better to provide these insights than a top-rated, passionate trainer on this topic? Our presenter has been quite active working the Toastmasters program and is a 3-time distinguished Toastmaster. A natural leader, she has held numerous club officer and district leadership roles. She has served as District 83 Club Extension Chair. Currently, Anne serves as the Club Extension Chair and Speechcraft Coordinator in District 38. In 2023, Anne launched the Speechcraft Coordinator Training Seminars, inspired by her experience conducting a successful Speechcraft program for a nonprofit organization. She is dedicated to helping others develop effective personal and leadership growth strategies. Let's welcome Anne Golden.
Thank you. Thank you, Sue, for that introduction, and welcome everyone to this Speechcraft workshop. Before I want to explain, well, let's start with this first. Sue is going to place in the chat this handout for you, and that handout does include the 11 steps for a successful Speechcraft, and you may find it useful to take notes during the course of today's session. As Sue explained, this is broken down into subsequent parts, so I want to explain what I will be covering in that. The first part of the presentation is going to cover an introduction to Speechcraft. What is it? And how it is designed, and I'll discuss the purchase of the bundle and who pays the cost. And then I'm going to go into the benefits of why you should be a Speechcraft coordinator. With that, we'll have a Q&A session on the topic, and that's a lot of material. So at that point, if we've taken some considerable time, we'll take a 5-minute break. The second part is I go into great depth about planning, and I share timelines and expectations of what you can expect on how to conduct your sessions, and I share the educational resources that you will need for those sessions. like anything, first you have to teach your students and then they have to implement what you teach them. And that's basically what happens in a Speechcraft session. Then there'll be questions and answers on the planning part. And then the last part is where I cover the available resources and how to organize your sessions to help you be organized when you run your sessions. And then there'll be a Q&A after that. So it's a very in-depth training, and that's why we take the break. So let's move on. I'm going to start with the Speechcraft fundamentals. And what it is a short term, and I call it a fast track public speaking workshop designed by Toastmasters International so that people can quickly come up to speed a little bit on their communication and leadership skills. Because even though it's short term, we all know, even in our level 1 path, in our past, we gained some leadership skills. All right. And what Speechcraft for is for people 18 and older, and it's basically for people who are not Toastmasters, is what it's developed for. And so when they become members, the number of speeches that they complete during this course they can be given credit for their Speechcraft speeches and pathways, and I will go into that details. So let's go with the structured learning environment. It is a structured format that you follow in Speechcraft. It's based off a regular Toastmasters meeting where you have a Toastmaster, you'll have the educational presentation, then you'll have the Speechcrafters eventually give their speeches and there'll be evaluations and there's table topics. So it's a very structured format. And it's made to be hands-on learning. By that, I mean they have to quickly implement what they're taught. There's no waiting period, how we wait for our guests for impromptu speaking. They're thrown right into the fire, and it really works quite well. Gives them an opportunity to build their confidence. They'll get experienced mentorship because you will have your fellow members from your club help you with these sessions, and they'll be there to mentor these people that know nothing about Toastmasters or the meeting, and they will be able to help them. They will also participate in evaluations. And I said it's a short-term format in that the timing of the things I will get into later are shorter than in a regular meeting. And it's customizable content. By that, I mean your sessions can be 4, 6, or 8 sessions. So you can customize it to the number of sessions that you are going to have. Sorry about that. And the Speechcraft purpose. Like I said, it's a short-term public speaking educational program. It's a condensed, supportive, hands-on learning environment. They do develop their communication and leaderships in that structured manner, and they build their confidence and competency in public speaking. Now, who would want to attend these sessions? Well, do you know a fellow colleague or a fellow friend who might be doing a job interview, changing jobs? They need to come up to speed on doing that impromptu and being confident in speaking and presenting themselves. This will help them. Is there an important work presentation that's coming up? Or for that matter, are you involved in your community in one of the community boards and have a presentation to do? Do you have someone in that realm that you know? And the other thing, what about someone who's going to go to a wedding? For God forbid, they have to do a eulogy at a funeral. These are all your possible, when you're starting to think, who could you add to your club and who could you invite to a Speechcraft? These are the type of people you would be interested in inviting to the Speechcraft session. Someone that needs an immediate need. That will help you very much. You're going to build your community. And by that, I mean, we in Toastmasters, we stay in our clubs because of the community we build. We can go to any club and experience the curriculum, but most of us stay in our clubs because of the relationships we develop. Well, while you're conducting your Speechcraft, you want to do that same sense of building your community. You want to build your relationship with the participants. because you're going to be with them for a minimum of 4 weeks. And what I like to say, if they don't like you after 8 weeks, they're never going to like you. So you don't want them in your club, right? So you want to build that relationship with them. And I never came across someone who liked you and liked your members that didn't join your club. This is so much better than an open house where you have maybe 6 or 7 guests and you're lucky if you get 1 guest. This, you're going to have 5 participants at a minimum. You're going to be spending anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks with them. You have that great opportunity to build that community with them, and you're mentoring them through the process. At the end of that time, they're going to want to join your club. And this is Toastmasters' #1 membership building tool, but I also call it Toastmasters' best kept secret, and that is Speechcraft. And between Cheryl Roush and I over the past year, we're trying to make it not so much the best kept secret in Toastmasters because we want more and more clubs to utilize this program to build your membership. And it's a way to build the membership and sustain it and maintain it. It's not you have one member join from an open house and 3 months later they're gone. That's why this is successful. In this presentation, we're going to review the digital bundle. As I said, I'm going to go over the coordinator benefits, planning and organizing, and resources. And I go into the correlation between what they complete and how they get credit for it in pathways, which helps your club with your DCP. We're going to begin with the digital bundle. Used to be anybody could buy the Speechcraft. But Toastmasters stopped that in 2021 when they revamped it and rolled out the new digital version in 2022 because people were taking the brand and using it for themselves for businesses and making money. Now you must be a Toastmaster in good standing from a club in good standing in order to purchase the bundle. You have to sign into toastmasters.org to be able to purchase it. When you purchase it, the bundle comes with 5 participants. So it's 5 participants per bundle. And when you purchase it, you will get an access code. It's important that you save that order number, which becomes your access code to sign into the Speechcraft portal to activate your session. So it's very important you save that in a safe spot and don't lose it. The ratio that is recommended, coordinator to participants, for the best benefit and quality for the Speechcrafter is 1 coordinator for every 5. The maximum recommendation that Toastmasters gives is 1 coordinator per 8. What I say to that is being a Speechcraft coordinator is a benefit for the member. Give another member in your club that chance to have that benefit and let them be the coordinator for the second portion, the second group of 5. Because even if you ran the 2 together, you would only get credit for 1 Speechcraft session. So share the wealth and let another member get credit for being a Speechcraft coordinator. And in Toastmasters, there's no refunds for the slots that are not used. So I recommend that you fill those slots with your newer members who need to complete level 1 and part of level 2. So that's what I recommend if you have an open slot to slide in your newer members, because if you only have 4 and that 5th slot's going unused, you don't get a refund for it. What does the bundle cost? It's $50. And Sue's going to drop into the chat the link for the Toastmasters.org store where you can purchase this bundle. And what do you get for your $50? Well, it's for $50, you get 5 participants, which is $10 per person. But they give you marketing material as you see here. But there are 2 very important videos that you as the coordinator should watch. Mike Carr, our 2020 World Championship of Speaking, his vocal variety here in explaining that will energize you for your session for your speech crafters. And the powerful words. That's another excellent video because these are going to help you because these are two important topics that the speech crafters have to do speeches on. So there are two excellent videos that you, as the coordinator, have the opportunity to review before you present your Speechcraft sessions. Purchasing. Well, to purchase, there are no rules. I will tell you this right now. There are no rules because I contacted Toastmasters Speechcraft directly. There are no rules on who can purchase this. A member may purchase a Speechcraft themselves. But remember, it has to be sponsored by the club. So you have to go through your club to present this. For transparency purposes, I recommend that you go through your club treasurer to make the purchase. We are a nonprofit organization, and you want to make sure there's transparency when it comes to dealing with money from individuals. However, I do realize there are some clubs that may not have a bank account. In that case, they may say to the member, yes, purchase it. But in your own bank account, make sure there is transparency, line item for line item. What I mean by that is if you purchase the bundle for $50, you will get reimbursed from the members. They pay for it. It's a tuition. You make sure that that comes into your bank account and it matches up and keep your records clear. So there's no question about that. However, if it's done through the club, the participants will pay the club treasurer directly. Now, the maximum tuition, it's not a fee. This is an educational program, quality educational program that we are delivering to the public. Maximum you can charge is $120, which is 1 year's membership fees. You may use the Speechcraft as a fundraising event for your club. However, any excess funds must be used towards educational purposes, such as you could pay for someone to go to the district conference or help offset their costs. We are going to have the international convention here in Philadelphia locally next year. You could supplement a member's fee to the international convention, or you can use it to buy educational materials for your club. We like to have parties and eat food in Toastmaster, but you can't use the fundraising event to throw a party that you had is successful. You have to use the money for educational purposes for the club. And when you purchase, and as I said, when you purchase the bundle, you will get an email from Toastmasters directly that will give you that order number. And if you save that email, that will help you get access to the portal. This is pretty easy way to purchase it. And it's not that difficult to do. And to calculate your fees, Sue's going to put a handout in the chat for you. And this will help you to calculate how much to charge the participants. As you will see, this is from Southern Africa, Toastmasters Club down in Southern Africa. If you meet in person and you have to pay a rental fee, you can incorporate a nominal fee to help cover that and charge the participants. If you're going to supply food or juice or water, it's up to you if you want to do that for free, but you can charge for that. Because what the tuition is to cover, it's to cover the cost of the Speechcraft and any materials that's involved in it. Now, this is the key to getting the members, is that you include the cost for a 6-month Toastmasters membership fee plus the $20 for the pathway plus tax. Why do you do that? That's how you guarantee your membership after the Speechcraft session. I've seen on the internet where clubs have charged $110 for the Speechcraft. My calculations from what I'm sharing with you is maybe at the most $90. And if you have a club fee, you would incorporate that. That's why Toastmasters gives you, and Toastmasters is telling you you can do this. That's what they're telling you. You can charge up to $120. Now, the thing about the membership fee, you don't activate that until after the session is completed. Once you've completed your sessions and you've closed it out, everybody's received their certificates. It is that point that you enter their name in the membership management as a member because you already have their money. The whole time you are going through these sessions, you're building your members up to that idea, the expectations that they're going to continue. Expectations, you put that positive thought in their mind that this is a fast track, this is short term, and after this, you can continue your development for the next 6 months. That's what you tell them, and you build that up. And at the end of your session, you tell them they now have 6 months membership fee to continue their development. And you're going to explain to them how they're already on the fast track and they're coming into the club with completed educational levels than even some of the current members. And I will explain that to you a little bit later on another section of the presentation. I go into detail about this because this is really important. The international intellectual property. I stated that in the beginning. This is intellectual property of Toastmasters. And the reason why I bring this up is I've seen an innocent question on Toastmasters International on Facebook earlier this year where someone asked someone to share the Speechcraft agendas with them. They were going to conduct a Speechcraft. That's an innocent question, and we as Toastmasters would want to jump in and help right away and said, sure, here's the agendas. What you need to keep in mind is that in order to get access to the Speechcraft agendas, you have to purchase the bundle and get access to what I call behind the scenes in the portal. That person did not purchase the Speechcraft bundle because she would have had access to the agendas. She would have not have received credit as a coordinator, and the Speechcrafters would not have received credit for their speeches if they joined the club because it wasn't paid for. So you have to be, these are things we don't realize. They're very innocent, and maybe the person doing it didn't realize, or maybe she did purchase the bundle and didn't know where to get the agendas. The better question would have been, can you show me where I can access the agenda? So any information, once you get access to behind the scenes information, and there's quite a bit of information behind here because Toastmaster gives you everything that you need to run the Speechcraft. All that information is proprietary, and you can download it and use it for yourself during the time you're doing the Speechcraft, but you cannot share that information with anybody else and give them copies of everything. You're not allowed to do that. You're not even allowed to put the information on slides sometimes. You have to be careful. So I spend a few minutes on that just to make you aware because there is a responsibility that you have as the purchaser of the Speechcraft. I show you Protocol 5.0 just to show you that Speechcraft is only authorized to be sponsored and run at the club level. Area directors cannot coordinate it, division directors cannot coordinate it, and district cannot coordinate it. The district can give you incentives to have the Speechcraft, or they can help you advertise it, but they can't coordinate it. Remember, the coordinator must be from the club that is sponsoring the event. Now, an area, division, or district director who is in a club and wants to do a Speechcraft, they can do it at their home club. It doesn't preclude them from not doing it. What it means is it cannot be organized at the top level. I want to make sure I made that clear. Now we're going to go into the coordinator benefits. And with this, Sue is going to be putting in the handout for you a document I put together that summarizes all this, the Speechcraft benefits handout, so that you have it at your disposal to use and review. The biggest thing about being a Speechcraft coordinator, it's a check mark for one of the requirements for your Distinguished Toastmaster award. And you're saying, well, I'm nowhere near getting a DTM. No, but what you realize is, and I realized with my first DTM, was I had checked off several boxes and I didn't even know it until someone made me realize, decided to mentor me, made me realize and said, Ann, you just need to complete your advanced manuals requirements and you'll get your DTM. You already have the leadership, you've done this, you've done that. So why not start checking off the boxes for what you need for DTM? Before you know it, you're going to qualify. And it's really a little bit easier now in pathways. You have to complete 2 paths. That's still quite a number of speeches. But if you're going to do that, why not check off one of the box? And if you've been an area or division director, that's another checkbox. If you've been in a district leadership role, that's another checkbox. Club officer, that's a requirement. So why not check it off? And while you're running the Speechcraft series, you are still developing your leadership skills. I don't know about you. I've been in Toastmasters for 9 years, 9.5 years. I'm still learning. I'm still developing. I still don't have all the answers. And you learn by doing. You also will enhance your own public speaking and communication skills. Oh, we got to talk to strangers again. I'm still petrified of talking to strangers. I still get nervous before a presentation. And I did a Speechcraft. It helps you relax and it helps you to fine tune those skills. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Oops, I hit the end. Uh-oh, giving you sneak peeks of everything. Close your eyes. Don't be looking. Okay, enhance public speaking skills. You're going to be networking and community building, like I said. That's how you attract new members. And you have 4 to 8 weeks to do that, to network, to community build, to build a relationship. And I mean sincere relationship with these people that are going to be in your Speechcraft session. This is like project planning. If you happen to be working, I feel sorry for you. I'm not. But if you happen to be working, you may need that for your career to put on your resume that you've done project planning. You may not have that opportunity in your work environment, but here you do. And it gives you credibility. It gives you credibility in Toastmasters. You can be looked upon as being a leader in the district when they know that you've done this. And you can get credit for Pathways progress as well. And I'll tell you how you do that a little bit later. And the best thing about it is personal fulfillment. If you're in Toastmasters, when we teach others what we know, we get the greatest fulfillment ever. I know I do. And I think you do as well. Wouldn't you agree? When we teach others and we get to see their aha moment when it finally clicks, got it. That's what's great about it. All right, we're going to stop here for 5-minute question and answer session on what I've covered so far. And that would be on what Speechcraft is, the bundle purchase, and the coordinator benefits. Are there any questions on that, on what I've covered so far? And the fees, I've covered that. And I'll stop sharing so I can see everybody. Anybody have their hands raised or anything? Any questions in chat, Sue?
Not yet, Anne.
Does anybody have any questions at this point? Everything was clear? How many people needed to do? Great question, Joyce. Minimum of 1 person. You can get credit. I checked. Couldn't believe it. You can get credit for doing a Speechcraft as a Speechcraft coordinator if you only have 1 person as a participant.
Augustine
That's
has
the
a
minimum.
question as well. Are fee
Our
details
fee,
available in tm.org?
the fees. Yes, it's in the Speechcraft. Under Speechcraft, they do, that's where I got my information, and it's also included in my handouts that I give you. I break down the fees for you in the handouts, and that is per Toastmasters Speechcraft website, and we will be sharing that link. What if you could be a participant? Yes, before you did the Speechcraft. As a matter of fact, I know there are some leaders that recommend that you go through the Speechcraft program yourself before you be a Speechcraft coordinator, so that you get a full understanding of what it's like. But keep in mind that if you're already past level 1 in a path, you would need to start another path. And well, why do I have to start another path? I just want to go see what it's like. Do you want to give your speeches for free? Why would you give speeches in Speechcraft and then not get credit for it in Pathways? In Toastmasters, you never speak for free. That's how you advance. How do you think I got to 3 DTMs? I mean, I have 9 paths completed because I try not to speak for free. And I try not to take advantage of myself as conducting these Speechcraft sessions. So I don't always get evaluated for these because I don't think that's fair. But I could say, give me an evaluation because each presentation is a little bit different and I change it up. So you don't speak for free. So you could be a participant in Speechcraft.
And
But
there's
keep
a
in mind,
question here from Joyce. Do you need one Toastmaster for each participant? And she might be referring to the
I will be
guide.
getting into that later. That's covered a little bit later. I explain how the sessions work and what you need and how many people you need for your meetings and how many you need for the speech crafters. So if you don't mind, I can cover that later.
Right, with the helpers involved in running the
Right,
program. Thank you.
right. Anything else?
I don't see
If
any
not,
additional questions in the chat.
do you want to take a 5-minute break now, or do you want to wait until I take my second part and stop at that point and take a 5-minute break? I'll leave it up to the audience. Hands up if you want to take your break now.
I think a break now is
Okay.
good. Oh, somebody wrote second. But I think now is a good time. You could put the recording on pause.
Okay. Do it.
Recording. Recording in
Yep.
progress. Welcome back,
Okay.
Ian. Welcome back, participants.
All right, let's move on. The next part I'm going to cover is the planning part. What's involved in it? I even gave you a timeline in the handout that's downloaded in the very beginning. And this gives you a snapshot of what it takes to plan out the Speechcraft. It's not something you can do in 2 weeks. As you can see from the timeline that I'm providing, that if you wanted to hold the Speechcraft session at the end of January, January 27th to be exact, you would have to start November 18th. And that's so that you can manage your task. You have to get the support of your club that they want to sponsor the Speechcraft. You need to purchase it. You need to review the materials. You need to access the portal and get in there and see and download all the materials that Toastmasters provides for you as resources and understand how you're going to conduct the classes, because it's a curriculum that they're providing for you. You're going to have to figure out how to market it. I'm not the expert in marketing. I do a little bit of marketing, but we can figure that out. So this gives you the timeline of what it takes. Sue's going to put into the chat a handout, which Fred Vorbach put together from a special session we did last year on best practices and things like that. And this is the Speechcraft event preparation checklist. And it basically covers some of the things that I have talked about and will talk about. And it tells you what the coordinator needs to do. It just breaks it down for you. It's a nice cheat sheet to have for you to review and have at your fingertips. It covers everything you need to know. I give you everything you need to know about how to run a Speechcraft session. And the next document Sue's going to put in chat is something I came up with this year, and I decided to put in paper to pen, and it's the best practices. What are the best practices to put Speechcraft on, and how do you build that community? And keep in mind that you are building a sense of community there. And if you notice, and I go through the purchase and who should pay for it. And if you notice on page 2 up there on number 3, I spell out the $90 tuition breakdown for you and how that's done and where you want to conduct your meetings. Also, please remember that it is a communication educational program, and we are giving something of great value. And when you give something for free, it's not valued. Why would we want to give such a powerful program that Toastmasters has put together for free? Now, clubs shouldn't take the cost of that. You need to charge for it. It's a high-end, very cost-effective program. If they were to take a Dale Carnegie course, which would cost them, I heard it's around $3,000 today, they don't give them feedback like they're going to get in this session. And that's what makes us different, because we do build a community and we do give feedback and we try to help people to grow. We just don't give them paperwork and say, here, read this and study it and then come present. This is a breakdown of that timeline, what you need to do 6 to 8 weeks before the event. The first thing, as the coordinator and with your club, you need to decide, are you going to hold a 4, a 6, or an 8-week series? And that's going to be based upon your clients as well. If you have executives that you're doing something for, it's going to be a 4-week. They don't have that time, and they won't be joining your club. So you can do this for other purposes and realize you're not going to get members. But maybe you want to do it for a group of corporate executives to show them how valuable Toastmasters is for them to start a club. And in that way, you could sell Toastmasters. Then you have to decide when you're going to hold it and the time. And you have to keep this back in your mind as you're going through everything. And will you do the sessions during your regular meetings or at another time? If you're going to do it for executives, it's going to be a special time for them. But if you're doing it for people who you want to join your club, it would be natural to do it during your regular meetings. This way, they're there with your members. You're building that community through the course of these series, and everybody's interacting with one another and having a nice time. The thing you have to consider is how long your sessions will be. If you only meet for 1 hour as a club, you might want to consider for that short period of time to extend it an extra half hour. And you'll see why later. That's something for you to discuss. If you have 2 hours, realize you'll be able to cover more material with the Speechcrafters. They'll get in more speeches. You need to establish the tuition costs. What is it you're comfortable charging it? And refer to it as a tuition cost. It's not a fee, it's a tuition cost. Then you need, like I said, you need to use your access code to get in the portal and review the Speechcraft portal and review all the materials that are there. There are slides, there are videos. They give you instructions on how to conduct the classes. They give you videos on how to conduct the classes. You can take snippets of the slides and create your own slide presentations if you want for yourself so that you have that material to review. There's tons of resources out there that you have to download for the sessions that would be available for you and your guides and the Speechcrafters. Then you should review what the Speechcrafters portal looks like and what they're going to see. You need to spend some time in there. So before you set your date and time, you want to do this research. You need to recruit your members. Who's going to help you put this session on, right? That's why you want to hold it in your club. You can get your members to be the Toastmaster, They can be the table topics master, the general evaluator. You need a timer. The odd counter is optional, but I couldn't stand those ahs and ums and ers. I had an odd counter from the very beginning, and they appreciated it, and it cut it down. And they did, they improved. So why wouldn't you use the full program? I don't understand why they don't include the odd counter. You can put that together with the general evaluator role if you need it. You need guides. The guides are the mentors. You need one guide per speech crafter. What do the guides do? They mentor the speech crafters. They're there to answer their questions. They're there to guide them on how to put their speeches together. They're there to review the speeches with them before they deliver them. Initially, your guides will be the one to evaluate the speech crafter's speeches. But they're there to support the speech crafters. And between meetings, they are supposed to be communicating with the speech crafter to see if they need help with anything. They're their mentors for that whole period. So you need one guide per person. Now, the guides are supposed to be at all meetings. Let's face it, life happens, they may not be able to. That's why you only assign one guide per participant, because if one of the guides can't make a meeting, you need another guide to step up and mentor that speech crafter for that meeting and follow up with them to fill in for the guide. You as the coordinator can help out in that as well, but you're more or less the mastermind behind it all, putting all the pieces of the puzzle together. That's your job, to put the agenda together, to put the meeting together. You need Toastmasters to do the educational presentations for each session, and I'll show you where you get that material in a minute. You're the one that's going to be recruiting these Toastmasters to sign up for these meeting roles. And if you don't have enough Toastmasters in your own club, or not everybody can do it, don't you have a network that you can reach out to outside of your club that Toastmasters can come and help? And you have to decide whether you want to have your meetings in person. If you meet in person, that's the way they're going to be. Virtual, I don't recommend hybrid. If you have hybrid meetings, I don't recommend hybrid, but you have to do what you have to do to get it done. Works best in person and virtual. So these are the people that you need to recruit and line up for your sessions. That's why you have to determine how many sessions you're going to have, because you need to know how many Toastmasters you need to help you. This is where your educational presentation material comes from, and it is free. Sue's going to put the link there, but it's free. And what you want to do is download it all as one zip file. Don't go and download each individual one, just download the Better Speaker Series Set 269. And it gives you all the topics that correlate to the topics that Toastmasters want the speech crafters to conduct their speeches on. For example, selecting your topic, beginning your speech. That's about teaching them how to write an introduction. So they're the first two presentations that you will do in meeting one. Beginning your speech, which would teach them how to write an introduction for their speech, and selecting your topic. And why select your topic? Because select your topic is basically their icebreaker speech. And what the Better Speaker Series is, they are facilitators, manuals for you. They give you an outline to follow, what you need to talk about. And down there on the very left bottom is called Introducing a Speaker. That's the handout that is behind the Speechcraft portal. They give you handouts for topics that they want you to do the educational presentation. What you do is you give the person who's going to do the presentation, you give them the handout from the Speechcraft site, and you give them the facilitator guide from the Better Speaker Series, And if you happen to have some other resources available or whatever, you give that to the Toastmaster who's going to do the educational presentation. Any good presenter will be able to take that material and put together a presentation. I will tell you that the Better Speaker Series does come with a presentation, but you don't want to use it. It's old looking, it looks it. You could take the material from it and upload it into the newer, more vibrant slides that we have today. And you can create your own material from what you're reading here. You've done it enough as Toastmasters and given presentations. We research and we put our stuff together and we put them on wonderful presentations. I've never seen a lousy presentation from a Toastmaster. So there you go. So you get all the resources you need to give to the educational presenter to put their presentation together. And that's generally about 10 minutes. These are generally 15 minutes, but for the Speechcraft session, it's cut down. It's 8 to 10 minutes. And you need an evaluator for the presenter. Why should they speak for free? They could take this presentation and apply it to one of the Pathways projects. Speaking professionally, there's one that says a topic that the audience don't know or something. Well, you're delivering a topic that your audience don't know. So make sure that you have a Toastmaster there to evaluate the person who's doing the educational presentation so they can get credit. And you as the coordinator, if you wish to do an educational presentation yourself, you can get someone to evaluate you and get credit for it for one of your Pathways projects. This is to show you how the content, and Sue's dropping this into the handout, Speechcraft Content Overview. It shows you how it matches up with the Better Speaker Series. You see, choose a topic, right? That's their icebreaker. Know your purpose. Doesn't that sound familiar? Writing a speech with a purpose, level 1, project 3. What you do to get the speech crafters, there are 8 topics here, really, so that they can get all 8 speeches in. I had my speech crafters do what we do in Pathways. I combined the body language with vocal variety into one speech, and they get credit for both. And it cuts out a speech. Giving and receiving feedback. They have to deliver a speech, and they also have to evaluate eventually a fellow participant. So you have your guides do the initial evaluations, maybe the first 2, and then after that, you have the speech crafters evaluate each other. This is to show you the correlation between what they complete in Speechcraft and why I call it a fast track. When they become a member, what it correlates to them as far as earning credit for Pathways. You see here at 4 speeches, they complete level 1 at 4 speeches. Level 1 has 3 speeches and then evaluation and feedback, which has 3 projects. So that's actually 6 projects in level 1. Here, they only have to complete 4. And I have a better view for you here that you can take a snippet of this. I broke it down for you. Choose a topic. This is the Speechcraft topic, and it matches up to the Better Speaker Series. It's an icebreaker speech. Even if they only complete 1 speech, they will get credit for it. When they become a member, they will get credit for completing their icebreaker speech. So however many speeches they complete, they will get credit for it. If they have to end early, they have to end early. But here, with the body language and vocal variety as 2 speeches into 1, that's the level 1, 3 speeches. This is where it's a fast track and giving and receiving feedback. And this would be their 4th speech. And in essence, what that is that's the 2nd speech of evaluation and feedback. Because in that particular speech, they have to incorporate any feedback they received prior and tell their evaluator this is what they're working on. going to get evaluated on it, but they also have to pick and let the evaluator know what type of speech they are giving. So they do learn about the different speeches. Are they speaking to inform? Are they speaking to persuade? Are they speaking to entertain? Or are they going to inspire? And at that point, it completes level 1. Their next project is the evaluation. What Toastmasters does is it gives them credit in level 2 for introduction to Toastmasters mentoring. And if you think about it, that makes sense because the other 2 projects in level 2 are understanding leadership and communication generally. This fits right into there. Then they do powerful words. That's your descriptive language project in Pathways. What happens is once they complete that, they get credit for 1 elective in level 3. Descriptive language. Then they do prepared to present. And what that's supposed to do is they're supposed to, that's their last speech. They're supposed to incorporate everything they've learned in those sessions and present a speech. By this point, they should be somewhat really good at delivering their speeches and getting their point across to the audience and leaving the audience with a challenge at the end. At that point, when they complete their 7th speech, they will get credit for their 2nd elective in level 3. Let's say you run the 8-week session and they complete all this and you close your session out and you add them as a member. They need to contact Toastmasters Educational Department, and I also recommend the VPE do the same. What Toastmasters will do will give them credit for completing level 1. They will have completed 1 project in level 2. They'll only have 2 to go, and they will have completed both electives for level 3. They will only have to complete the required project in level 3 to complete level 3. They're coming in fast track, and you will get credit for the level 1. You have 5 of them. There's your DCP point. And why stop there? Now I stop for questions and answers on the planning part and the educational materials that are provided. Are there any questions on that?
I'll be monitoring the chat for you, Anne.
I just want to make sure that I've given you the information, and sometimes it's a lot to take in, but I want to make sure I've made it clear. Any questions? Any concerns? None? This is a great crowd. You're not lost, are you?
Here's one from Marcus. Are you suggesting to hold the Speechcraft meetings during our regular Toastmaster meetings? Are you suggesting to hold the Speechcraft meetings during our regular Toastmaster meetings?
I think that works best. At first, I didn't think so, and I've changed my mind on that. I always promoted it to do it outside the club, but it's going to be difficult to get your members to come to that meeting outside the club. And the Speechcrafters aren't building that community with your members. You want them with your members. You want your members interacting with the Speechcrafters. And if you can conduct during your meetings, it's easier to get your members to sign up. Well, we know how difficult it is to get members to sign up for meeting roles, but this would re-energize them because you're bringing new blood in, right? When you get a guest, doesn't that perk your guest up? And it's going to re-energize your member base because they're going to be asked to help somebody else, is what they're going to do. They're going to be asked to participate in a meeting where they're helping somebody else. And the Speechcrafters can ask them questions, and they're able to speak. It's not just the guides. We know how it is in meetings. You have a mentor, but we tell that new member, you're free to ask anybody a question. And your mentor doesn't get upset. We're all here to help you and support you. And that's what builds the community. So, yes, definitely. I think it would benefit you to hold it during your club meetings.
Here's another. Is there any fast track slide? I heard level 1 complete, level 2 need one more speech, level 3 one more project.
That's the handout that Sue put in there. And also, you should have taken a snippet of the spreadsheet, and that shows you the fast track.
Then
That
there's
shows
another
you
question. In the resources, is there an example of the 4-week Speechcraft? Not sure if I missed it. In the resources, is there an example of the 4-week Speechcraft? Not sure if
no, there isn't. I try not to dictate what a 4-week would look like because who's your client? It's going to be based on your client and their knowledge base. And you may want to do the 4 most simple ones, which is introduction, the icebreaker, body language and vocal variety is one, and then maybe pick one of the others, like power words or descriptive language, something like that. And yeah, so
I.
I don't
Um,
try to dictate.
and then if I may add, once you purchase your Speechcraft bundle, you can download the agendas and see what works for you. They'll give you
Exactly.
agendas for a 4-week session, a 6-week session, and an 8-week session, and then you can decide to do any of those numbers or or modify the agendas based on your needs and the speech crafters. I
Right,
see some other
right.
super important questions. Augustine asked, are sessions designed to be run weekly, or can they sync up with monthly or semi-monthly club meetings? I'll repeat. Are sessions designed to be run weekly, or can they sync up with monthly or semi-monthly club meetings? I know you can answer this, Ian.
It is recommended that you run it weekly to keep the energy going. Now, if your club meets twice a month, you might want to consider adding in extra meetings. You could do it every 2 weeks. I mean, I did for my 8 weeks. I did it every 2 weeks, and they started in February and didn't end to May. You have to figure out what works best for you, your members, and your clients. You could do it every 2 weeks, and that way it gives them a chance in between to prep their speeches, for the guides to talk to them, for you a chance to plan the meeting. That is fine. But I wouldn't stretch it out any further than every other week. And actually, clubs that meet once a month are generally advanced clubs. And to be a member of an advanced club, you have to meet certain criteria. So this program would not work for an advanced club
Here's an interesting
because,
comment from Joyce. If during
yes,
regular meetings, 2-hour meetings, then so regular members can do speeches too? In other words, adjusting the
yes,
timing so the entire agenda is not filled only with speech crafters, but the
yes.
existing members have an opportunity to make their own pathways progress.
Yes, you can do that, Joyce. You can schedule the
Great
speech
question.
crafters and then have your members do a speech. But remember, it's supposed to be for the speech crafters, so you would want to at least devote the first hour to the speech crafters, let them get their time in, then they get to hear Toastmasters who have been delivering speeches. So it's a win-win for them. But I would let the speech crafters go first and then have your members do the second part of the meeting with their presentations, and realize that in the middle of the meeting there is time for the guides to meet with the speech crafters, to have a discussion, to see if they need help at that point. It's like hands-on. That's why they call it hands-on learning, because they don't wait till after the meeting. There's time within the meeting, like it's up to the coordinator to decide. They say 10 to 15 minutes, but it's up to you to decide what time you want to allot for that. The most I ever did was 10, and let them talk to one another during the session. and get to know one another and to answer any questions and to make sure they understand what they were just taught. Does that help you, Joyce?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, great.
Perfect. Thank you. I don't see any additional questions in the chat, Ian.
All right, then we're going to move on. Let me reshare my screen. And if you didn't get a snippet of this the first time, please take it now, and then I'll move it forward. Make sure everybody had a chance to take a copy of it. I think this is the easiest, spells it out for you in black and white without the images. And we'll move on. Now we're going into the resources, gathering and organizing your resources. I'm sharing this with you because this is what I learned when I did my Speechcraft. I had to organize the materials because there was so much. So I created folders for the different resources. So I break it down real simple. And please don't take it as an insult. I just break it real simple for what I did for me, which helped me to stay organized because there is so much material. You'll see on the left-hand side, I called my folder the 2023 Speechcraft Project, because I did it for a nonprofit. They didn't become members. That wasn't the purpose. It was for their organization. So I knew going in, I wasn't going to gain members from it. So I created the main folder, and then you'll see on the right-hand side, the subfolders that I created. I created a folder for each session because mine were 8 sessions. I created a folder for the Speechcraft certificates once the sessions were completed because we had an extra meeting, a celebratory meeting where I presented them with their certificates. Even though they could download it themselves, it made it special because we made a big deal of it. And that's really important. Recognition's important, even with doing Speechcraft. I told you there's Speechcraft coordinator instructions. I'm giving you instructions now on some of the handouts. You might want to create that folder and dump it right in there. But when you go to the portal, there are instructions specifically for the Speechcraft coordinator. Then there's specific instructions for the guides that they provide you. Then there's Speechcraft session resources, and there's tons and tons of resources. What I did when I went behind the portal, I wasn't worried about what I was doing for each meeting. I just created these main subfolders first, and that's where I stored the resources, all in there. They even tell you what session the resources are for. So I made sure I labeled it session 1, session 2 in front of the name. Once I downloaded all my resources from the portal, then I created my session. And what I did was, so that I was prepared for each session and knew what I was doing, my session 1 educational presentation material went into session 1. My resources for the Speechcrafter and guides, because the guides are given instructions on what to do with the Speechcrafters, I put in each of the sessions. That way, I didn't have to go down a list of 10 documents. Everything was right where I needed it. And it kind of forced me to focus, and I wasn't all over the place. That's why I show this to you. It's a tip. If you like it, use it. And you'll see I have a Speechcraft template for the agendas. I downloaded all the agendas. They share them all with you. There's a 4-session template, there's a 6-session template, and an 8-session template. And on the agendas, they tell you what educational presentation you should do for that session. It's a recommendation. There are no strict rules. You're flexible, but I go by what they guide because everything is built upon the previous lesson. I followed what they recommended for the agenda, and I would recommend you do the same. But you're the coordinator, and you can decide how you want to conduct your sessions. Does that make sense? How did I organize all this? I created a members sign up sheet that I shared with people that I asked to sign up and take meeting roles. If you know Excel, use the data validation tab. And what you do with that, on the first tab, it's a data validation. Well, I went to sheet 2 and I created, the first column has all the roles that I was going to need to fill. Then I listed all the dates of my session, and then I listed the educational presentation series topics that had to be covered on an 8 session. And right here, it spells it out for you. You may take a snippet of this too. It spells out for you. Someone was asking, what would you do for the first 4 sessions? Well, there you go. It gives you the topics and you can adjust it as such. So that was my first tab that I had to do. I had to set it up because then on my next tab, this was where I selected the validation. So I listed all my volunteers on the first column. And as you see up at the top, I listed my guides. And it says 2 Speechcrafts per guide. Why? Because I had 10 in my session. If you have, and that was a lot. So that's why they only recommend 1 guide per Speechcrafter. And they must attend all meetings because they're there to support the Speechcrafters. But like I said, life happens. So that's why you don't want to assign more than 1 guide to 1 participant. It's a lot they had to pick up for somebody. What I did was I told them to come in and sign in, like Sharon Beer. She selected session 1 from the drop-down because this will be a drop-down because I validated it. And they can only select what's on the validation sheet. Let me go back. Oops, let me go back. If they can only select this here, otherwise they will get an error. You have to make sure that information is correct. And then they select what they were doing. She was an evaluator for the educational presenter. And what evaluation was she doing? Selecting a speech topic. She was evaluating that particular, so she knew what evaluation to do. What you do is you give the evaluator a generic evaluation form. And they provide that for you too in the portal to evaluate the educational presenter. And in this case, Sue Brooks, in this case, who was it? Who was my educational presenter? Ruth Presley was my educational presenter. So she evaluated Ruth. This way, I didn't have to come in and list everybody and assign them. That saved me time by sharing the spreadsheet and letting them come in and sign up. And if they want to sign up for more than 1 session, they could. And it makes it easier on you. That's how I organized my members who volunteered. Because they did. I asked them, it's volunteering. When we asked them to step up for a meeting role, that's volunteering too. Even though it's expected that they would participate, we are a volunteer organization. And that's what our members do. They volunteer to support us and help us. And that's what brings even your members' energy. You're empowering them to be free to sign up for an extra role to help somebody. You're bringing energy into your club. That's what you're asking. How can I re-energize? We're like sinking here. How? They're like the doldrums. This is a way to bring them out of the doldrums. And believe me, when you talk with excitement and inspiration, you bring them out of the doldrums. You need to be excited for yourself that you're doing this and bring that excitement to your members, and they're going to be excited right along with you. This here, Sue's going to drop in the chat the Speechcraft Toastmasters link where you can go and read about Speechcraft on Toastmasters.org. A lot of the information that's there, I have provided for you here in my slides and in the handouts. What you're seeing to the right, I give you all the links that you need. There's YouTube links from Toastmasters.org about Speechcraft and behind the scenes, but realize that is before the portal was updated and refreshed in October, like the Basecamp portal. So it's going to look a little bit different now, but I give you the links to everything. And that was in the first handout as well. And then what I want to show you here is I was able to get, someone asked me for help. And so they sent me, this is what the new view is. They sent me this. This is the new view. If you've been in Speechcraft before, you'll notice the difference. But if you haven't, they've made it more easy and friendly, user-friendly to navigate. And if you look at it, doesn't it look like the new, if you bought a new project since they've updated the Basecamp portal, your navigation is on the left. Same thing with Basecamp. You hit the overview and it's going to give you an overview. What they're showing you here is the Speechcraft Learning tab. And this is what the Speechcrafters see. This is what they have to click on to get their project. And when they click on it, you'll see over here the resources. Can you see when I use my mouse? Yes, the resources here. If you click on that, every resource that correlates with that particular topic will drop down and you download that resource. What I'm showing you here is the coordinator tracking. Again, it's easy. You don't have to search for it. This is how you're going to track the Speechcrafters' progress. Because you're going to click in there and you do have to follow up with them. Because you have to know if they've completed their assignment, because you need to validate their speeches so that they get credit. And you will do this through the coordinator tracking, and you'll follow the steps that will tell you how to do that. Remember I was telling you there's Speechcraft Learning like this here? You see this? That's a video also. But there's also, when you come into coordinator tracking, there's going to be coordinator slides for you. And this is the Speechcrafter Learning, and it's the learning resources, but there's other slides in here as well. The one thing you have to know is when you go into the portal and you log in with the bundle number that they gave you from your order number, you need to add your participants. There'll be a page for you to add your participants, and you'll add them with their name and email. That's just adding them as students. They will receive an email similar to if you add a new member. The Speechcrafters have to come into the site with that link and register to be able to participate and to go behind the scenes themselves to get the materials that they need. So you will add the participants to your class, and you can only add 5 per session. Now, if you happen to have 2 sessions, you would have to create a separate event. Because what you do when you come in, it's called create an event. You need to name your event. Be aware you cannot change the name of the event. Once you name it, it sticks. I recommend that you don't put in a start date or an end date yet when you go in there. You're just going in there for informational purposes. Don't put any of that information in until you're ready to begin your session. They will also ask you what you are charging the participants. So you need to know that information ahead of time as well, because you can't bypass that. You'll have to put the cost in what you're charging them. Toastmasters tracks everything. All right. So once you create your event, then you can get in behind the scenes and get all the resources that you need. Then once you determine your session, whether it's 4, 6, or 8 weeks, and you determine a start date, it's at that point that you enter your start date. Once you enter your start date, now I wrote to TI directly and they said you can't change the dates once you enter them. That is not what I experienced when I did my Speechcraft. I could change my end date, but I did it 2 weeks before it ended because I needed to extend it. You have 90 days from the last date of your meeting. You have 90 days from your last meeting to retrieve all the materials from there. The certificates, whatever resources you need. After 90 days, all that information goes away. Toastmaster locks it down. They have the information, but you can't retrieve it. You no longer have access. So you need to get what you need from the site and download it. Make sure you download your own certificate because that'll appear. Make sure you download your own certificate showing that you were the coordinator, because you will get a certificate as well in your own portal in the site, and you download that. That's your proof. How do you get credit? What you do is afterwards, I still wrote to Speechcraft and told them that I completed it and to ensure that I got credit. But you automatically get credit because Toastmasters records it, but your certificate is proof. We know glitches can happen in systems, so that's why I say download your certificate and save it. And my certificate is saved in that certificate folder until I needed it for my DTM. Then I moved it to my DTM folder. But then you write to Speechcraft Toastmasters and tell them you completed it and you want confirmation that you've received credit for being a Speechcraft coordinator. After the 90 days, I have not had people join my club, so I don't know how it works. But once you closed your session, I would enter them as members and I would have them notify Toastmasters immediately. I don't think you have to wait the 90 days for them to get credit for their pathways completed speeches. There's one other thing I want to put into chat. If you are ready to launch your Speechcraft series, I am District 38 Speechcraft Coordinator. I am here to help you with any questions and to walk you through the process if you need it. For marketing, Cheryl Rouse does a wonderful presentation, and Sue Brooks is going to put in chat the latest link that I have to a presentation she did for District 1, where she goes through the steps on marketing a Speechcraft. She covers a little bit of some of the material that I do, but in the end, it's a wonderful presentation and you won't be sorry. And with that, I'm going to stop for question and answers. Yes, that's my jock. So I'm going to stop for questions and answers on this. We have 8 minutes left. And I'm not quite familiar. I haven't bought a Speechcraft since they've updated the portal. But it looks beautiful and it looks like it's really friendly because I love what they've done with pathways. It's going to be the same because the old Speechcraft portal resembled the same in the old pathways, the way pathways you used to have to navigate and wonder where you're going to find everything. You're searching all around. This way, everything's going to be right out in front of you and should be easily accessible with that left navigation pane. Did I leave anything out that you might have questions on?
I don't see any questions in the chat just yet.
I have a question, Anne.
Go ahead, DLT.
So if you belong to a corporate club, can you still do this? Speechcraft?
Yes. Yes. Yes, you would advertise it internally on your internal sites like you do for your meetings. Definitely. You can definitely do that in corporate clubs.
Okay.
And as
thank
far
you.
as advertising, have you been on Facebook lately and seen those wonderful flyers different clubs are making and different districts are making?
Not really.
They're beautiful. I'll tell you, the handout they give you for the advertising when you buy the bundle is nice, but you can make a much better flyer using Toastmasters colors and designing your flyers using Canva or PowerPoint or whatever that are so attractive. And you can post them up in your neighborhoods. If you're a community club, your corporate club, post them up in your cafeteria if they'll let you do that.
Anne, I see we have a question in the chat from Betty Ortiz Valdez. Will this recording be available to view again? If so, where can we find it? Great presentation. Will this
thank you.
recording be available to view again? If so, where can we find it? Great presentation.
Yes, it will be posted on District 38 YouTube. We have a wonderful person, our past district director, Rhonda Young, who edits our videos for us to make sure that you don't get any of the unnecessary filler stuff. And then we will post it. And I will send a link out to everybody in the email after it's
Miriam has
posted to give you the link.
Miriam has a great question here. Am I understanding right? The basic content for the Speechcraft sessions is essentially from the Better Speaker series. Am I
Yes.
understanding right? The basic content for the
Yes.
Speechcraft sessions is essentially from the Better Speaker series.
Yep. And you have the facilitator guide that helps you to give that presentation. Did I answer your questions for today's session? All right.
Okay, well, thank you very much. On behalf of District 38 Toastmasters, I want to thank Ann Golden for being our presenter today, for DOT for her support, and the other district leaders who are here in today's session for attending, and for all of you for bringing this information back to your club. Thank you very much
Thank
for a terrific session, Ann. Have a wonderful day.